OBN, OBN,
Original black nerd.
OBN,
Original black nerd.
OBN,
Original black nerd. Everything discussed about dramas is that thorough.
OBN,
Original black nerd.
OBN.
Original.
Hello, welcome to the Original Black Nerd Show, and today we're going to talk about our Miles Morales number 25, and this is the beginning of his new story arc, the Clone Saga. Yes, Miles gets his own Clone Saga, and I've been really enjoying this run by Saladin I've made with Miles and his development of the character and his struggles that he's going through as a teenager, as a teenage hero. I really have been enjoying this. Just so that we get a little background of where we are right now, Miles is, as for those who don't know, he comes really from the Ultimate Universe. That's on Earth 1610. And Earth 1610 was on the collision course with our 616 Earth. And during that course, he ends up with the Ultimate Universe being destroyed and subsequently being rebuilt. But he ends up in the 616 universe being the Spider-Man of Brooklyn, and he's also, because of his good nature, he's brought back into his new 616 world. We brought back his father, Jefferson, used to be Jefferson Davis, but now Jefferson Morales, his mother, Rio Morales, and now he has a new baby sister. And then also from the Ultimate Universe, he brought back his uncle Aaron Davis, aka the Prowler, or also known as the Iron Spider. And the first part of the run, we saw that Miles Morales ran into Ultimatum, which was really the Miles Morales of the 616 universe, who was close friends with the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, and he ended up going over to the 1610 universe, exploring the multiverse, coming back and trying to kill Miles Morales. And Miles, his father, Aaron, Prowler, and Captain America, along with Starling and Bombshell, fought off Ultimatum, the Green Goblin, and ultimately became victorious. But in that victorious nature, Uncle Aaron the Prowler, ultimately Aaron Davis, had to sacrifice himself to save Miles and his family. So that's where we are right here. Now, one of the things that's happened during the run, Miles was kidnapped by a character called the Assessor. And the Assessor did a whole series of tests and trials and experiments on Miles, and start to build fine clones. Miles had fought one of these clones and smashed it up in the first run of the series, and what we do now is pick up now with Miles now finding out that his runs with the clones not over yet. So we're going to pick up with the Miles Morales Clone Saga right now. At the end of the last panel on the final issue number 24, we see a picture of a Spider-Man kidnapping a scientist. So we open up with Miles coming in after his family just showed him the picture, and he will have an ongoing journal entries that he'll be talking about, because what he's done is, in the beginning of the series, one of his teachers who put him up for a writing scholarship suggested that he'll do a journal, and this has helped Miles in his struggle with being Miles Morales and Spider-Man. He's been writing everything down in the journal, so the journal gives us an ongoing running thought process that Miles going through. And so he goes, nothing makes sense anymore, journal. And his family's telling him, it's all over the news. We've been so worried about you. And there's a knock at his door, and of course his Genki comes in, his boy Genki Lee. He's talking about, I've been texting you for days. Where'd you disappear to? And Genki says, man, sorry dude, but I came to talk to you about something important. And he says hi to his parents, and he shows them the video, and they look at the video, and he's like, what's going on? He said, man, what you come over here for? He said, man, this is more important. We'll talk about it later. So, of course, Jefferson's now Jefferson is Jefferson Morales now. He was Jefferson Davis, but he changed his name because he said, why my mama named me Jefferson Davis, I don't never know. So he's now Jefferson Morales. He's an ex-SHIELD agent. So he reads in the write-up says, police have refused to name a suspect, but surveillance and cell phone footage has shown a Spider-Man involved in a armored car robbery, a break-in in a scientific warehouse, and now kidnapping the prominent geneticist. Plus, some real estate guy claims Spider-Man threatened him and vandalized his car. Miles go, that last one might be true. His parents go, what? Excuse me? The parent look. But what happens is in the last issue, last part of the series, Miles is out with Starling, and comes across, saves some kids, and they talk about a slum landlord, and this guy that has car vandalized Spider-Man, put the venom blast on the car, which was of course an electric car, and shorted everything out. So he says, the rest wasn't me though. Someone out there imitated me, not just the costume, but my power. So they're at a thought, and then it comes about, and he thinks about it, and it has to be the assessor. So back in the first run, his main guy he ran into was Ultimatum, who had the Green Goblin, but this guy called the Assessor came and kidnapped Miles, put him through a whole series of tests and trials and tortured, and developed a clone, which Miles destroyed in issue 19 of the run. So he was like, Genki was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and check it out. So they go up to the room, and the mother goes, don't worry, he says, don't do anything crazy, Miles. And of course, the little baby sister is being cute in the shit scene. So Genki's up there on his computer, and they're talking about I-score, DNA sequencer, and they talking about it's a problem with the Miles comes with a rapid pedal synthesis. So they're trying to figure it out. They know it definitely has something to do with cloning. And when Miles was fighting the clone back in issue 19, Uncle Aaron, the Prowler, told him it was just a burner, so just smash it up. It wasn't even human, so he smashed it, but they figured out maybe he grew another one. But Miles was like, hey, he think I was already with some money, so why would he need to break into a warehouse? And he didn't know. He said, but Genki figures it out that he knows what they stole, so he figured out what they're going to be trying to steal next. And he tells them where to go. He sends them a text, and man, Spider-Man's dressing up, talking about, bro, you the best. He sees his boy's phone go off, talking about, you got a message from Barbara. Now Barbara, in the beginning of the series, was Miles' girlfriend, not girlfriend, and they were together, but she really couldn't handle Miles just disappearing like Miles does on the Spider-Man tip, and so she broke up with Miles. But when she broke up with Miles, and Miles had to do battle with Null and the symbiotes, the issue that happened, Genki and Barbara became an item. So Miles gets he says, that's a lot of kiss emojis, and he said, I tried to tell you when the symbiote dragon attacked. That's back in issue 23. Barbara and I are sort of together now. Oh, so Miles says, "Oh, that's why you've been dodging me," and he straight yokes his boy up over a girl that dropped him. And he said he knows his boy. Come on, you don't know the rule. But Genki stands up and says, man, get your hands off me. And Miles, man, feels bad about it because Miles ain't that kind of, don't carry that kind of way. And he dips out, man, and Genki feeling kind of bad because, it was Miles' girlfriend, not girlfriend, and, it is kind of trouble. So anyway, Miles is swinging his way back, and he's talking to the journal. He says, "I lost the journal. I had no right to be mad. Me and Barbara broke up months ago, and Genki's my best friend. I can't believe I put my hands on him. What's wrong with me? Was I really going to hit him? For all this fighting, is it making me into a bad person?" So Miles has been going through a whole crisis of conscience, the entire series. Not only with his the Prowler dying, saving him, he's been thrust into leadership, decision making. He's having pressure at school. He got the girlfriend pressure, and so Miles been going through it. So he ends up at the place, looks to slide in, looking for an open window. He finds something's already broken into. He jumps in, talk about, look a little late, all this stuff. So he sees some scientists, and they are scared because they say, "Oh, he's back. Don't let him cut me again." So he's scared. And the other one goes, "We told you everything. You had the files. Please just leave it alone." And so Miles is like, "Okay, well, I'm not." And then when he says that, his spider sense goes off, and of course, somebody says, "Sheesh, nobody listens to scientists anymore. They said, leave them alone." And of course, in comes Peter Parker, Spider-Man. So he comes in, kicks Miles. Miles is trying to explain to him, Spider-Man, what are you? And Peter's like jacking him up. He says, "What you done with the real Spider-Man? Because I know Miles wouldn't do this stuff." And Miles is fighting it back. He says, "Man, I'm the real Spider-Man. I mean, I'm the real Brooklyn Spider-Man." Because it's been ongoing in the last series, because when Miles was working with Captain America, they realized they were both Brooklyn boys, and Spider-Man is Bronx Spider-Man. So we established that in the last series going on. So they fighting along, doing the Spider-Man fight, which of course, neither one's getting upper hand. He says, "Man, no way the guy I knew would never do this." He says, "Man, I do it. I'm being framed." And so the guy says, "Oh, don't listen to him. He almost killed me." So of course, Miles, goes to stealth, because Miles can do what Miles do. Miles goes invisible. Spider-Man almost hits him. He says, "Man, how you almost hit me when you can't even see me?" He says, "Man, experience, man. I know what you're doing." So Miles shocks him with a venom blast. And when he hits him with the venom blast, Miles goes to Peter. "Sorry, Spider-Man. Try to take it easy. You're like my big brother, but I don't have time to do this. There's a fake out there, and I can't let him hurt any more people while we're messing around here." And Peter says, "Now that sounds like Spider-Man, wherever the heck you are." And he goes, "Is that really you?" He says, "Man, I still have that crappy birthday card you brought to me last time when someone was attacking labs in Brooklyn. You ruined my death." And that's in Spider-Man 10, because it was a birthday, Spider-Man, Miles Morales' birthday. Peter dropped by, and this is when Miles was feeling real low, like he didn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. Peter dropped by, said, "Look, man, you got to take care of this. This is a Brooklyn Spider-Man thing, ain't a Bronx Spider-Man thing. I got to go." And that brought Miles Morales back into being Spider-Man. And so he says, "Oh, snap. Okay, I know it's you now, man." He says, "All right, we got to go find out what's happening with this imposter and stuff." So they team up together, and the woman says, "If you guys really aren't the other Spider-Man, you need to stop him. He was scary." And so Miles goes, first we need to get you some guys, some medical attention. They said, nah, go ahead. EMT's on the way, but you got to stop that other guy. He got knives. Miles goes, knives? He says, come on, Spider-Man, let's see if we can pick up the trail. So they go out there, Peter and Miles, and they see him. And so Peter goes, that's our guy. Any idea who he is? Did I miss an announcement about a new spider person? You know how those newsletters pile up in your inbox, funny. So they chase down. He said, you remember Miles was hitting Peter talking about the assessor. He said, remember when I told you about getting snatched up about assessor and what he did to me? At research, he used to grow a clone. So now we know how the clone came about by the assessor. Now the assessor came by kidnapped Miles, tortured him. He got saved by his father and his uncle. And when he did that, we find out that he ran into Ultimatum from the 616 universe, which was Miles Morales of 616. He had to do battle. The assessor came back with clones, and Miles beat up the clones. And Peter goes, oh boy, clones are bad news. Take it from a guy who, and just as they see it like, what? And they were like, what the? And we see a clone of Miles, but he's kind of not all together like a form. And they were like, how did he get behind them? He gets past both guys' spider sense. Yeah. And so Peter says, look, man, we have something to ask you. So he goes right at Spider-Man, tries to swing on him. Spider-Man ducks him, but then he comes out of his body with some symbiote type stuff, man. He grabs up Spider-Man, and Miles goes, he grabs a Peter, and Miles goes, how can he do that? I can't do that. So now we see, man, now you know how I felt. Peter goes, now you know how I felt when I found you could shoot out lightning. Because remember, way back when Peter first met up with Miles and they were doing a little battle, he didn't know that Miles could turn invisible, nor did he know that Miles had a venom blast. Because this was when Peter was first finding out about all the different spider people and how they had different powers in themselves. So the guys are straight going to work. He beating down Miles, he beating down Peter, giving up all he said is glurp, and and so they're both trying to do their best, and so he hits him with a venom blast, and he's shockproof, and just grabs him with a third arm, comes from his body, and he grabs and starts choking up Miles. Now Miles is having a bad time with his venom blast, because all through the series, twice he tried to venom blast people and they shook it off the first time. So he's got to amp it up a little bit. So while he's fighting with Miles, Peter gets one arm, Miles hits him with the other side. They web him up big time with a bunch of webs, web him to the wall. And Miles is getting mad. Miles was getting a lot madder lately, want to hurt people a lot. The last series, he was, went off a couple times. He had to get pulled back. So Miles went up and he pulls up to the zone, the clone, and goes, no more wearing my face, no more putting dirt on my name. You're going to help me clear up, or so I swear to God. And he goes to go smack him down, and Peter goes, whoa, Spider-Man, we don't hit people or slime clones who are tied up. Just stay calm. And and now this must be like daggone Miles' trigger words, because Captain America, when Aaron Davis died, his uncle saving him. Captain America tried, so things happen, Captain America thing, he was mad at him, like, stop, don't try to tell me to calm down. It's the same thing here. He goes to Peter, You stay calm. You don't know what it's like to have your face stolen. So of course, ironically, Peter goes, actually, and before he could finish say I have, because we know Peter Parker in the Clone Saga is, a very, very iconic arc of his story. So all of a sudden, boom, the clone just blows up, smacks both of them, knocks them down with his multicolored explodes, and he gets away. So as he's getting away, he said, Miles goes, "You okay, Spider-Man?" And guess that didn't hit me as hard, because Peter is, down. He goes, "Not so fat. Well, we need to go and so he can't get together, and Miles goes, "No, Pete, you're hurt, and besides, this is my fight. I think I need to handle it by myself. Go home, man. I got this." Now, it's funny because, of course, anybody who gets older knows that it is not getting hurt that's the problem. It's the longer recovery times. So we see here that teenage Miles Morales recovers a lot faster than our, slightly more aged Peter Parker. So Miles says, "I got this." And he jumps off and rolls off. And Peter's like, "You're not going to get rid of me that easy. Just need a minute." Typical old guy. "Just give me a minute to get myself together and I'll be ready." So Miles jumps over there. He goes, people are talking about, "Over there, look on the roof. Is that?" And Miles jumps up. He says, "From all the shouting, sounds like he went that way. He's got to be around." So as Miles hits the roof, he gets hit. Whoa! Too fast for inside my skull. What? And he's getting hit again. And then he gets hit a third time, and Miles gets smacked around, and then you hear off panel somebody says, "I think we softened him up enough, brothers." And Miles goes, "Who?" And he looks up, and you see the clone Spider-Man says, "My name is Slim. These are my brothers. It's time we talked." And this is the next issue coming up, and that's how it's saying, called Blood Brothers. And you got a guy with two knives. You got the guy who falls apart, looking like some symbiote type thing, and then you got Spider Actor, the clone that's got like 8 legs to him. So this was the new first issue of his new story arc. I liked it a lot. I'm ready to see what's going on more about Miles. Like I said, I've enjoyed this run. I'm excited to see how this Clone Saga is going to go. So if you like this, just remember to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll see you on the next time. And I'm out of here. Peace.